My name is Andres Fernandez, and I'm going to go over sensitivity analysis and how it relates to financial management. I want to start by identifying what the goals of financial management are. Uh, First and foremost, maximizing profit. Second, you have your short and long-term objectives, and that's in reference to a company's ability to develop these objectives, which are distinct, to reflect their individual business strategy, which encompasses how you're going to raise capital and how you're going to forecast your cash flow, each having different requirements. For mitigation measures, this primarily relates to risk and regulatory compliance. One, being able to understand what the risks are and which ones you're going to have to accept and how you're going to mitigate any additional risks and how you're going to mitigate your company being out of regulatory compliance, which could include fines or other punishments that you're trying to avoid. Forecasting, this relates to your ability to develop strategy, to develop, it helps develop those objectives. However, you're calculating slightly different things within that, but it primarily informs decision making uh, for a company. Your functions of financial management. Planning is encompassed in some of the tasks you're already conducting that help achieve the goals. For capital budgeting, this relates to being able to develop an investment strategy and how are you going to allocate your resources in a way that's most beneficial for that company. Capital structure is defined by what kinds of funds and what ratio equities a company has to help develop operations and investment opportunities normally associated to a risk profile. Working capital talks about uh, company's short-term financial resources, how you're conducting day-to-day activities, how you're able to leverage available assets uh, to convert to cash and or to cover current liabilities. For qualitative and quantitative steps in sensitivity analysis, qualitative primarily focuses on your ability to understand the problem, to be able to use potential courses of action that company has already planned on doing, and then being able to break it down and identifying and defining specific variables that may have bigger impacts or that you want to weight them slightly differently depending on the environment. And the real world context is your ability to grab what is already happening in the environment and apply them directly to your situation to not be planning in a vacuum. When it comes to quantitative steps, you're identifying the key variables, which are your net present value, internal rate of return, and your payback period, and creating an appropriate methodology which makes sure that everyone is calculating things in a similar manner uh, to make sure that your integrity of the data remains uh, unencumbered and you're able to appropriately create the right decision. I want to talk a little bit more about capital budgeting and break it down because this is very specific. This is long-term investments. It's how you're going to allocate your capital appropriately. And because it is so risky, it's going to involve an additional risk assessment. It's going to involve the sensitivity analysis. And this is your opportunity to be able to conduct analysis and risk assessments in order to create the best possible outcome uh, for your company. The internal methods to project the risk is where you get uh, down and dirty. The internal methods relies on internal models. This data would be best for conducting sensitivity analysis since they are the things that you control. It can be used to run models to see potential issues of where things can go bad. Additional types of simulations can be run, like a scenario analysis or a Monte Carlo. The outputs should include being able to identify those variables that are most likely to cause failures in the project and to be able to adjust cash flow forecasts, taking into account potential issues. Operation-specific data is produced that allow these scenarios to be ran. External methods provide an ability to incorporate outside factors. These include market-wide and industry data. This allows you to identify two key things: market expectations. While things may be true for your specific company, calculated in a vacuum, it allows you to identify requirements the market may place on a company, identifying whether an investment may be viable or not. It brings more reality into the situation. General industry risk are those risks that companies must account for due to market expectations and risk that is systemic within the industry. These factors can be applied after the sensitivity analysis in order to get the best understanding of market conditions prior to making a decision. This concludes my brief.